Back when Modulo was confirmed as a JJK sequel, a load of us, admittedly mentally unstable fans, were theorizing that this would be a perfect opportunity for Mahito to be reborn and return to Jujutsu Kaisen, and also for Yuji to return, but that was mostly just, hopeless copium. Even when I was saying the theories though, I didn't really believe it, like it was just straight up copium. So when I saw Yuji Itadori in chapter 6, and then Mahito being set up for a fully fledged return in chapter 7, well, it just, I mean, oh my god, bro, I can't believe he's actually coming back. I feel like I'm in the depths of prime JJK again, and I have so much faith this series is gonna just be peak fiction. Mahito appears in one of Tsurugi's dreams, where we see a single page of Mahito saying, "What's all this? I thought you were him," and the him is like, in bold and capitalized. And that's literally it. That's all we get. But it's enough to create so many questions. What role and themes will Mahito contribute to JJK Modulo? Will he retain his previous personality and jujutsu knowledge? Is Yuji still alive and will he come to stop him? If not, then how are we going to stop him? What will Mahito think of aliens existing? Can he manipulate the souls of aliens or someone like Tsurugi with a heavenly restriction? So many questions, so I decided to go back to my JJK theory crafting roots and discuss them all in this video. So as always, make sure to like, subscribe, check out memberships, all of that, blah blah blah. Go check out my second channel to see weekly chapter reviews for Modulo, and let's just get right into it. I'm pretty certain that we are also going to see Yuji as an old man return to Jujutsu Kaisen once Mahito makes his appearance. The previous chapter showed that Yuji was the man who made the freaky senile curse user with the very bald head fear for his life before, which isn't a detail that I think would be shown unless Yuji actually has some relevance in Modulo moving forward. But then again, I guess this is JJK, so maybe we will never see him again, who knows. There are many explanations for how Yuji can still be alive as an old man though, one of the most prominent ones being that absorbing the curse womb death painting things that I still can't pronounce back in his younger days potentially slowed his aging. Or maybe blood manipulation allows for extended life, since there was that one crazy old Kamo dude who had his mind confuzzled by Kinjaku, but did seem to remember things from like 150 years ago. Or maybe he is just really old and senile anyway. The bottom line is, it's not impossible. I mean, like, even with none of these things, he would be like, what, 83 years old, which isn't completely impossible for him to still be alive. And narratively, it would make the most sense for Yuji to be alive and then emerge from the shadows or wherever he's been hiding in order to take down Mahito when he does get reborn. That's because back in his glorious I am you speech, he told Mahito that he would always be there to stop him even if he did get reborn later on. So yes, the Yuji tease in the previous chapter and the Mahito setup one chapter later do make me think that it's very possible that Yuji will appear in Modulo and have another interaction with Mahito, potentially round 2. If this is the case though, it just creates even more questions because no matter how old Yuji is and no matter how much of his jujutsu knowledge Mahito keeps, he's still getting one shot by a single bitch slap from Yuji, let's be real. So Gege will need to create a situation where Yuji and Mahito can't fight immediately and where Mahito actually brings something to Modulo's themes. And if he doesn't, then it is just fan service, which is completely fine, but pretty underwhelming and not really the way Gege tends to do things. That's where myself and lots of other people think Yuka comes into play, because Yuka has a deadly brain tumor which will likely kill her in the next 6 months. And there is literally no way that this brain tumor plot and Mahito's return were put in the same chapter by coincidence. The best theory we have right now is that Mahito is going to retain his personality and technique, which I'll explain in a moment, and then will either use his manipulative personality to convince Yuka and Tsurugi to enter a binding vow with him, where he transfigures Yuka's brain to heal her, and then will get something sinister in return, kind of like what Sukuna did to Yuji with In Chain. Or Tsurugi and Yuka will still make a deal with him without being manipulated, because they don't really seem like the type that would fall for that. Now these possibilities all work, even if Yuji isn't actually around anymore. But if he is, then this is still very possible because I don't think that Yuji Itadori, with good conscience, would destroy Mahito on sight knowing that he could save one of his old friend's grandchildren from certain death. I think Yuji would feel like he kind of owes it to Yuta and Maki to at least try, which means that Yuka's tumor is the best possible reason for why why Yuji won't decimate Mahito on sight. Destroying Mahito by sacrificing Yuka's youth is really not the kind of thing that either Yuji or Gojo would do. Mahito will definitely try and get something out of this, which then puts him in an advantageous position, but if Yuji really is alive, then once Yuka is healed, he'll probably just fight and kill Mahito once again, because after all, Yuka and Tsurugi have the alien dilemma as their main challenge, and the narrative kind of dictates that Yuji should be the one to do it. But then again, Yuji might be long gone by now, because this whole Sukuna level threat alien thing has been going on, and no one has even mentioned Yuji's name. They haven't even tried to bring him in as a consultant, so I'm very unsure about this idea of Yuji being alive. I think it's quite 50-50. We're just gonna have to wait and see, let's be real. Mahito is definitely coming back though, I'm gonna say that right now, and it's probably for the purpose of fixing Yuka's brain problem. Okay, now quickly, before I move on, no, this is not a sponsor, don't worry. If you live in the UK, enjoy going to conventions, or are already planning to go to MCM Comic Con London on the 24th to 26th of October, then make sure to come and say hi, because I will be there just vibing and making content all weekend, and I'll be joined by the likes of Josh and Betweener and of Ryan. Anyway, moving on. Okay, back when I theorized that Mahito would return in Modulo, I had a few comments pointing out that cursed spirits do not retain their memories, personalities, or even maybe appearances when they are reborn years later. And this is definitely true for most cursed spirits because Jogo himself actually confirms it. But we need to remember that Mahito is a special case, so I do believe he will be the same Mahito that we saw in Jujutsu Kaisen. The nature of his soul-related curse technique means that the rules for him and how his soul works are very different to others, which is supported by the fact that the very same Mahito was there to meet Sukuna in the Path of Souls after death, and he pretty much says this himself. His memories and appearance were the same after his death when he spoke with Sukuna, so I think they will stay the same when he's reborn. I mean, we already have confirmation that he looks the same, and the fact that he's talking about him indicates that his memories are probably the same too, because he has to be talking about either Yuji or Sukuna, right? Like, surely. Which brings me on to another incredibly interesting point, that Mahito will possibly meet the aliens. I mean, think about it, right? Mahito has this arrogant sense of self-importance stemming from him being the curse of humans, and that should have a very interesting, kind of interaction or reaction to other species with cursed energy or jujutsu actually existing. And it creates questions like, can he manipulate alien souls? Can the aliens see or affect Mahito's soul? But that's not the only reason why it's very interesting, because the aliens, who all control cursed energy, have never actually seen cursed spirits before, so Maru or Cross's reaction to Mahito could also be very interesting. Here's the real kicker though, alright? This is the really interesting idea. If Maru or Cross really is the reincarnation of Sukuna's soul, which I am very certain one of them is, then there is a very strong possibility that Mahito will be able to recognize that within them. He might literally see the Sukuna inside of them, and it could create the potential for a very interesting narrative or theme that I honestly cannot predict, so I'll just let Gege cook. I just wanted to throw the possibility out there that he might be the one to confirm one of them is the reincarnation of Sukuna. What I'm also very interested to see is how Mahito will contribute to the themes in Modulo so far. For example, the idea of how stealing people's lives because your life was stolen creates this wheel of destiny, and it's kind of similar to the cycle of curses and all that. I mean, there are so many avenues it can take, and I won't even pretend to be able to predict them all, but overall, I'm just very glad we are actually bringing Mahito and potentially Yuji back into Jujutsu Kaisen. Okay, before I finish up, I want to throw out some quickfire ideas and questions that I had, starting with the possibility that Mahito could potentially meet Rika if she really does still reside in that ring. I think it's incredibly unlikely, but I do kind of love the idea of Mahito being humbled by a blatantly stronger cursed spirit that is born from a human's love rather than their malice and sinister intent. Another idea I had is that even though Mahito is likely going to play a part in potentially healing Yuka of her tumor, I think it's very possible that Tsurugi and Yuka end up having to make a sacrifice and actually reject Mahito's proposal in order to not give him the upper hand. I remember Maki was saying to Tsurugi that pain and loss make you very strong, which might come back around in Yuka actually straight up dying from the tumor by the end of the story. Remember, this isn't One Piece, like Gege is writing it, which means literally anyone can get it at any moment. I have no idea what the hell is going on, none at all, I'm not even going to pretend to. These are just some questions that I have that I am very excited to see get answered. Now I do have one final question that I want to leave you guys to think about, and it is, if Yuji is actually gone, and Mahito does retain all of his Jujutsu knowledge, then how exactly is this bum-ass era of sorcerers gonna take on Final Form Mahito and a Sukuna level threat army of aliens at the same time? I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. So as always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out the memberships. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in a bit.